discuss Gauss law, applications of Gauss law, which includes location of excess charge on a closed surface, electric intensity due to infinite sheet of charge, electric intensity between two oppositely charged parallel plates. In lecture number 2, we have discussed electric flux through a closed surface due to a single positive charge which was placed inside the center of a closed surface. We did derivation and got phi is equals to q upon epsilon naught, which is flux through a closed surface due to a single positive charge. What about multiple charges? When there are more than one charges, we use Gauss law to determine the total electric flux through a closed surface due to multiple charges. Statement of Gauss law: the net electric flux through a closed surface is equal to the total charge Q enclosed by the surface divided by the permittivity of free space epsilon naught. So when there are n number of charges placed inside a closed surface Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 and Qn, we will divide total charge by epsilon naught to get net flux through the surface due to these multiple charges placed in this closed surface. Now we will prove the Gauss law by the help of derivation. Let's recall this point which was discussed in lecture number 2. Here delta A is vector area of this small surface element delta A, and vector area is normal outward through the closed surface. E is electric field and the angle between delta A and E is theta. To prove Gauss law, we are going to derive its formula. Let us consider an irregular closed surface S. Enclosing point charges Q1, Q2, Q3, so on till Qn. In this figure, you can see that there is an irregular shaped closed surface, and this closed surface is named as S. And there are n number of charges placed inside this closed surface, such as Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 and Qn. Each charge possesses flux. So Q1 has flux phi 1, Q2 has flux phi 2, Q3 has flux phi 3, Q4 has flux phi 4, Qn has flux phi n. Then the total electric flux through the closed surface will be phi E is equals to phi 1 plus phi 2 plus phi 3 plus so on plus phi n. Phi E represents total electric flux through this irregular shaped closed surface. As in lecture number 2, we have derived flux through closed surface due to a single charge, which is phi is equals to q upon epsilon naught. So here phi 1, which is flux due to charge q1, is q1 divided by epsilon naught, and flux due to charge q2 is q2 upon epsilon naught, and flux due to charge q3 is q3 upon epsilon naught, and flux due to charge Qn is Qn upon epsilon naught. So we put the value of phi 1 as q upon epsilon naught, phi 2 as q2 upon epsilon naught, phi 3 as q3 upon epsilon naught, plus so on till phi n is equals to Qn upon epsilon naught. Epsilon naught is common, so taking it common from equation number B, we get phi E is equals to 1 upon epsilon naught into Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus so on till plus Qn. We can use summation sign to sum up all the charges, and we get phi E is equals to 1 upon epsilon naught summation I is equals to 1 to n Qi. Summation Q is total charge enclosed in surface. So we can write total charge enclosed in surface with capital Q. So we get phi E is equals to Q upon epsilon naught. In this equation, phi E is total electric flux through this closed surface due to multiple charges, which is equals to Q upon epsilon naught. Here capital Q represents total charge enclosed in this closed surface and epsilon naught is permittivity of free space. So the total electric flux through any closed surface is 1 upon epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed in it. Permittivity of free space means how much electric lines or forces are allowed to pass through vacuum. Applications of Gauss law. Gauss law provides a convenient method to calculate E in the case of sufficiently symmetrical charge distribution. Location of excess charge on conductor. We know that electric field is zero at all points due to electrostatic equilibrium in a conductor. Here we have considered a conductor which is shown in this figure, and due to electrostatic equilibrium in a conductor, electric field will be zero at all the points. Consider an imaginary Gaussian surface S in the interior of conductor. Because E is 0 everywhere in this surface, the net charge inside the surface has to be 0. Now, if we want to calculate electric field at any point P, we will consider a Gaussian surface S. Gaussian surface is imaginary surface as net charge is 0 within this conductor. So, the net charge inside the Gaussian surface has to be 0. Due to 0 net charge, electric field will be 0 within the Gaussian surface. We can put this point P anywhere within this conductor and E will be 0 everywhere in this surface. It means that all the charge must be on the outer surface of the conductor. On a conductor, flat or curved, all charges are repelled to the outer surface and the electric field around a curved conductor is non-uniform. But the electric field around an infinite conductor is uniform. Location of excess charge on conductor. Now let's consider a hollow conductor. Since the conductor is hollow, so there is no net charge at any point within the conductor. The cavity is surrounded by a Gaussian surface S which encloses no net charge. In this figure we have considered a hollow conductor. Because conductor is hollow, so there is no net charge within the conductor at any point. We enclose this point P in cavity by Gaussian surface S, and this Gaussian surface contains no net charge. It means that all the charge deposited on the outer surface of the conductor. Location of excess charge on conductor, third case. In this case, we have taken a hollow conductor, but a charge Q is placed inside this hollow conductor. Let's put a charge Q inside the hollow conductor. We insulate it so no charges can jump from one surface to another. Because this positive charge is insulated, so charges cannot transfer from one surface to another. Consider a Gaussian surface S. Initially the conductor was uncharged, but when charge Q is inserted, then there will be negative charge on the inside cavity in order to maintain its neutral status. We enclose this positive charge with Gaussian surface S. Before putting this positive insulated charge in this hollow conductor was uncharged. But due to this positive charge, negative charges are attracted on the inside cavity for making this conductor neutral. So the outer surface must have a charge equal but opposite the charge of internal cavity. As on the Gaussian surface there are negative charges, so the outer surface will have positive charges to maintain its neutral status. Second application of Gauss law, electric field intensity due to an infinite sheet of charge. Here we have considered an infinite sheet of charge because it is positively charged, so its field will be outward. The distance between this infinite sheet of charge and this point P is r. We have considered a Gaussian surface which is a cylindrical shaped surface. Remember that Gaussian surface is an imaginary surface and it is placed perpendicular to the direction of this infinite sheet of charge. This cylindrical shaped Gaussian surface has cross-sectional area A. The electric field E is perpendicular to the face containing P, and electric field E is parallel to the curved surface of Gaussian surface. As we know that area vector is normal to the surface. Normal means perpendicular. Here on this curved surface, area vector is perpendicular to the surface and it is written by n cap on x-axis, and electric field is outward to the infinite sheet of charges, and the angle between this area vector of curved surface and electric field E is 90 degree because area vector for this curved surface is on y-axis and E is on x-axis. So the angle between area vector for this curved surface and E is 90 degree. Flux through curved surface will be phi 1 is equals to E dot del A. Dot product of E and delta A is equals to EA cos theta. So by putting cos 90 equals to 0, we get phi 1 is equals to 0. So the flux through curved surface will be 0. Area vector of this first flat surface containing point P is normal to the surface and it is on x-axis because flat surface is on y-axis, so its normal vector area will be on x-axis perpendicular to its surface. So for the flat surface, area vector n cap and E are parallel to each other, so the angle between them is 0 degree. Flux through first flat surface is phi 2 is equals to E dot A. Dot product of EA is EA cos theta because the angle between E and area vector of first flat surface is 0 degree. By putting cos 0, we get phi 2 is equals to EA. Similarly, for the second flat surface, we get phi 3 is equals to EA cos 0 and phi 3 is equals to EA. So the total flux through this Gaussian surface will be phi E is equals to phi 1 plus phi 2 plus phi 3. Because phi 1 is 0, we put phi 2 is equals to EA and phi 3 is equals to EA, and we get phi E is equals to 2EA. Let's say equation A. Charge density of this infinite sheet of charge is sigma is equals to Q upon A. Its formula for surface charge density. Surface charge density is charge per unit area. By multiplying A with sigma, we get Q is equals to sigma A. According to Gauss law, phi is equals to Q upon epsilon naught. As Q is equals to sigma A, by putting the value of Q, we get phi is equals to sigma A divided by epsilon naught. By comparing equation A and equation B, we have 2EA is equals to sigma A divided by epsilon naught, and we get E is equals to sigma divided by 2 epsilon naught. We can write electric field intensity in vector form. E is equals to sigma divided by 2 epsilon naught into r cap. Here r cap is the unit vector normal to the sheet and directed away from it. Third application of Gauss law, electric field intensity between two positively charged parallel plates. Here in this figure we have taken two parallel plates. One plate is positively charged having plus sigma surface charge density, and another plate is negatively charged having minus sigma surface charge density. Direction of electric field lines is from positive plate towards the negative plate because electric field lines initiate from positive charge and terminate at negative charge. The length of these metal plates is infinite to get uniform electric field. We want to calculate electric field at point P between these metal plates. So we enclose this point P by this box which is a Gaussian surface, and its sides are represented by 1, 2, 3 and 4. Cross-sectional area of this box is A. The angle between area vector and electric field at side 1 is 90 degree. So the flux will be 0 because cos 90 is equals to 0, and when we put theta is equals to 90, so we get EA cos 90 and EA 0, which gives flux is equals to 0. Similarly at side 2, area vector is making 90 degree angle with electric field, so we get flux phi 2 is equals to 0. But at lower surface, angle between area vector and electric field is 0 degree because area vector and electric field are parallel to each other, so we get phi is equals to EA cos 0, and which gives phi is equals to EA. From Gauss law, we know that flux is equals to Q upon epsilon naught. Q is charge and epsilon naught is permittivity of free space. Here phi is total flux, which is equals to phi 1 plus phi 2 plus phi 3. Phi 1 is flux at side 1 of the Gaussian surface. Phi 2 is flux at side 2 of the Gaussian surface. Phi 3 is flux of the lower surface of Gaussian surface, which is a box. As we know that flux at side 1 and side 2 is 0, and flux at lower surface side 3 is EA. So by putting the values we get EA is equals to Q upon epsilon naught. We know that Q is equals to sigma A. By putting the value of Q we get E is equals to sigma upon epsilon naught because A is cancelled by A, and we can write this electric field in vector form. E is equals to sigma upon epsilon naught into unit vector r cap. This equation E is equals to sigma upon epsilon naught gives the electric field between oppositely charged parallel plates. The magnitude of the field is independent of the position between plates.